And now, we've come to the portion of our show where we have to ask, what just happened? We can't believe it either, but let's take a look back at the insanity that was this week and look ahead to what will make us facepalm next week. This is What Just Happened on the Dean Obeidallah Show. Take it away, Dean.
And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show. We're live Friday, March 22nd, the last Robert Mueller Friday of probably our lives. And it's What Just Happened, though. I'm joined by two of our friends, Atheer, Yacoub, comedian, podcast host, just did a special in the Middle East for Showtime Arabia.
Comedy Central Arabia.
Comedy Central Arabia.
Well, get it right, Dean. Get it right.
She did a show for MBS. It was a special show for Mohammed bin Salman.
Of course.
Great to see you, my friend. Thanks for being here.
It was a private show. Thank you.
And then New York Times reporter, funny guy himself, also a comedian, Sopan Deb is here. Sopan, nice to see you.
Thank you for having me, as always. Slow news day.
Oh my God! It was slow until 5 o'clock. It really was. I had a whole even plan to open for the show and everything.
I mean, the special counsel investigation has been going on for what, 2 years?
Almost May would have been 2 years.
Yeah. So, and you wait till a Friday at 5 o'clock?
You son of a bitch!
We have plans.
Want to know the crate? This show began. I began hosting the show May 15th. 2017.
Right.
May 17th is when Robert Mueller got appointed. Like that first week I was here, it just exploded. It was insane. And to think now, it's wound down. We don't know what's in it. Trump is not being let out in handcuffs, which so much is wanted.
I almost think that Mueller has a real sense of humor about this because he knows that people like you, we are in a. For those of you who can't see us, we are in a room where all the cable news chyrons have to talk about this now for hours without knowing what's in it. Without knowing anything about it, but they still have to talk about it. We still have to talk about it.
This is, for cable news, this is catnip. This is craziness.
Oh, yeah.
But they have to talk, and they don't know what's in it.
But that's the beauty of it. That's perfect because you can't be
Just
wrong.
speculate.
Right. It's the ultimate thing for cable news. This is why cable news was invented. Panels of people going, no, it could be this. And no one is actually wrong until we find out what's in the report.
It's like a permanent Thanksgiving dinner. Right, it's just permanent, just people yelling about things they don't know anything about.
I also want to say for some of the talking heads, they may not be aware of it. I don't mean the anchors, some of the pundits who have been there as the former prosecutors and stuff, their time on cable news is probably winding down. They're not aware of that right now.
That's true.
This is what happens because people move through cycles that they're there, and they've been part of our lives for 2 years now.
Right.
Some will still be there, but some... they were there for the Mueller report. They were a former prosecutor who worked on a team.
Pre-Ferrara,
not pre. He'll be for, but he's got a new book. He's got a book out. No, but some of the people you're going to see that there's not going to be a need for certain people. But
no.
Atheer, how are you, my friend? What's going on? You're sick?
I'm a little, yeah.
What's wrong? You got something in the Middle
Trump
East?
Has got me
You got Trumpies?
The Trumpies. No, I just have a little bit of a cold, but I'm good. I'm good.
Donald Trump, this is completely true. When he had his physical, they had his blood pressure, and mine is higher than his. Oh. And the irony is mine is higher because of him. I'm not even kidding. His is literally, because it's all bullshit. He's got a resting blood pressure lower than mine. I'm a little high-strung, but
that doesn't surprise me because, does Trump strike you as someone who gets stressed out?
No.
He just whine. Maybe the venting and whine. Maybe I should whine nonstop.
Like Barack Obama, right? Look at a picture from Barack Obama from Inauguration Day.
Just his hairline.
And then look at a picture from him when he left office in 2017. And he aged, man.
Yeah.
He aged. And George Bush did too. Like if you look, but Trump looks the same, man. I don't think Donald Trump gets. Okay. Now there's. I'm aware of I'm aware of the theories. I'm saying I think Donald Trump's blood pressure is genuinely low because I genuinely don't think he gets stressed.
Does he? He's always like eating cheeseburgers.
Right? No, you're a nutritionist as well as a comedian.
He's got the worst diet ever. We talked about
this.
And
he's overweight, and he eats horribly. How does he? And now he's on a stat. I don't want to get into his health. All right, I saw the report there. Let's talk about. So, what's your any sense? Atheer, you follow politics not as insanely as I do.
Definitely
and stuff,
not as insanely.
Which is healthy. That's actually healthy for you. Yeah. My blood pressure has gone up. I'm not even kidding.
I've got low blood pressure.
And she eats healthy.
You do?
Yeah.
And she eats healthy.
And I eat healthy.
You have low,
not really, not alarmingly low, but lower than most people.
Well,
not to brag.
I think
not
you
to brag.
Or something like that.
That is literally a brag.
So
It's like the worst brag ever.
So the Mueller report, does it mean anything to you? Do you?
Didn't we last time I was here predict what would happen after the Mueller report if Trump would still be in office? And I think I said he's not going to get impeached. I think nothing in there is going to. I think whatever happens, he's going to find a way to slip out of this mess because that's just what he does.
He's the devil.
He's the devil.
He's been able to commit crimes in the past. And get away with it. In fact,
why is this different? Yeah.
Well, I think you have the power of the federal government investigating. There was a poll that came out a few weeks ago that I continually quote. It's from Quinnipiac, so its methodology is good. 64% of Americans think Trump committed crimes before he was in office. That means 2/3 of Americans believe the president's a criminal.
Yeah.
And this is remarkable to live through this, to have this happen now. Do you think they should impeach Trump? I mean, the impeachment part is simply the indictment in the House. Go to the Senate to have him removed through a trial is impossible.
It's hard to say anything like that until you see what's in the report, right? I mean,
just for fun, just for shits and giggles.
Well, here's the thing, Dean. I like my job at the New York Times, and I really enjoy working there, and I enjoy the paycheck I get from it, and I like to keep getting that paycheck. But let me also say this. I also wonder how much of this is scripted in that, at the end of the day, we know how this is going to play out. Let's say Robert Mueller in this...
How's it going to end? Like The Usual Suspects?
No.
Trump is Kaiser Sose? How does this end?
What I mean by that is, in the report, you have, let's say, Robert Mueller has all this scandalous stuff, right? At the end of the day, you know, in many of these cases, the Republicans have already... They've laid out their defense of the president, and the Democrats have put out their playbook of, blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, I just wonder if... Are we going to be talking about? Are we going to move on from this in like a week? Our news cycle is so short that I just wonder if anything could have an impact. So even if Robert Mueller's report consists of some important revelations and blah blah blah, what news cycle in the last 2 years has stuck?
Well, this will drag out as we try to get the report, but you make an excellent point there, Sopan. I give you a point for this. But no, you make an excellent point that, look, if they would have come back and said what we wanted on the left, or what I wanted on the left, I can't speak for you, his base would not, they would have discounted as all fake news, witch hunt and everything. Right. And people in the middle are sort of, they already believe he's a criminal. It's sort of baked in.
And the key thing here is the Justice Department spokesperson has already come out and said that Robert Mueller has not requested any other indictments, right? So that's a known fact. Okay, so the Justice Department is saying that. What is in the report at that point, almost I wonder if it becomes immaterial, because you know that the cable news talking heads are going to fill their airwaves with that fact right there. No extra indictment.
They're not actually only Fox News is. MS and CNN.
So now Trump's going to come out tomorrow and say, "Hey, look, no new indictment."
Kind of funny. Well, here's the other thing, though. Don't forget one thing, Sopan. I just had on a lawyer, MSNBC legal analyst, Danny Savalas, and it's an issue I covered a lot in the show. DOJ policy says you cannot indict a sitting president. So by this report may come out.
That was a memo.
But still, it was two DOJ It's not a regulation. That's not codified as a regulation. It's codified as a policy internally that someone like Robert Mueller cannot violate under the terms of DOJ actual regulation without getting approval from Rod Rosenstein or the AG. The reality is he could say in this report, we would have recommended indictment of Donald Trump, but because of the policy of DOJ, we cannot. So, but I think ultimately this report's not like the Ken Starr report, which I've gone through, which actually had conclusions like Bill Clinton should be impeached for this, like 11 grounds. I don't think the Mueller report says that at all. I think this report is like, here's what I found. Go do what you will. Let God be with you. Go do what you want. I found Trump lied about this, said this, did this. If you want to consider it obstruction of justice, you go ahead. But we're not going to indict anyone else. We've done our job. His job was not to prosecute. His job was to investigate. And he did that.
Yes. Counterpoint is that they have indicted people, though.
That's part of the outgrowth of the investigation, yes.
Right. So it's not like he looked at his job and said, hey, all I'm here to do is investigate. And then you guys do with it what you will. I mean, at the end of the day, there were indictments that came out of it.
There were many.
So, I mean, several, right? You have Manafort, Flynn.
Over 30 overall.
Roger Stone.
And you have U.S. Attorney in Southern District as well, beyond that.
Right. So I think it's hard because we have to talk about this, but it's also hard because we don't know what's in it. But at the end of the day, what I'm curious here now, Democrats kind of face an interesting choice here. and I'm going to put my kind of reporter hat on, not my comedian hat.
He carries 3 hats with him.
Yeah.
I know interesting things, all different hats.
I carry all these hats. Democrats face an interesting choice here because it's like, okay, do you push for impeachment here? Because Nancy Pelosi already got herself in some hot water among some progressives when she said, no, impeachment.
All the progressives who call my show, even tonight, are pushing and were upset. They love Nancy Pelosi.
Were you upset with those? Were you upset with those comments?
By Nancy Pelosi?
When she said no.
I think that she couldn't say, I think she was being too premature and not knowing where we're going with Gerald Nadler's on TV right now, House Judiciary Committee, and his request for to over 80 people. She doesn't know what's in the Mueller report. This Mueller report can come out making a compelling case without conclusions that Donald Trump obstructed justice, that a reasonable person can conclude that. I think they have an obligation, even if they know we're going to lose in the Senate because we can't get 20, you need 2/3 of the Senate. You can't get 20 Republicans. I think you have an obligation to have the hearings and impeach Donald Trump. That's simply the indictment, and let him have the trial. He'll only be the 3rd sitting president to ever be indicted. Let him live with that stain forever on him. If that's the evidence. I believe it is. I believe he should be impeached.
You know who I was thinking about today? I know this is a terrible. This is a bad segue. It's not unrelated. It's not unrelated. I was thinking about what is Jeff Sessions thinking today? Because let's speculate for a second.
Love is like a bunch of white chocolates. It's always white chocolates. Nothing's black, nothing dark. Love is like a box of white chocolates.
I was thinking because here's a guy who got pilloried for years by Donald Trump. He becomes Jeff Sessions takes a big risk, becomes his first major endorser, I should say. Right. Put the Make America Great Again hat on at a rally. I think it was in Alabama. I think it was in Birmingham. And then becomes, one of his biggest supporters, surprising many people on the right, taking a lot of bullets, essentially, of rhetorical ones, of course. And then he becomes his AG. Then, recuses himself. And then for almost the entirety of his tenure as Attorney General, has to take a lot of stuff. The tweets, the constant, public barbs from the guy that he took a big risk to support. And now the report comes out that he recused for. Now, let's say for the sake of conversation that report is, for the sake of conversation, it's underwhelming. Okay, for the sake of this conversation.
Right.
What is Jeff Sessions? Oh my goodness. I lost my job for a report that ended up not, putting Trump at any risk. What must he be thinking today?
You're trying to get me to have empathy for Jeff Sessions. I think the best point that you just made in this whole thing was that there was Jeff Sessions, a guy too racist to be confirmed by Republicans as a federal judge in the 1980s, where Coretta Scott King said this guy cannot be confirmed. And he saw all the Republican candidates up there and he goes, that's my white supremacist right there. That's my guy.
That's my guy.
That's my Donald Trump. And that's why he's supported. Atheer.
He deserves whatever happens to him. I really don't care.
Bunch of Jeff Sessions fans in here.
Oh, yeah. Jeff Sessions, if you're listening, call in. We'd love to know what you're thinking.
Right. I mean, so, all right, Atheer, let's talk about, we've been talking about this all day. Let's play a clip here. This was remarkable to me, that Donald Trump being interviewed on Fox News by Maria Bartiromo, and he calls her fake news to her face last night. And this only got a little press. I thought this was stunning. And what happened is the backstory, as we learned today, there was actually a deal made, apparently, that Bartiromo did not agree to, but others at Fox News, that they would not ask Donald Trump about his attacking John McCain. Right. So he was actually stunned by that. Why you do? And he called her fake news. So let's play the clip of Donald Trump calling Maria Bartiromo on Fox News fake news. Was it clip number 5, please?
We would have had great health care.
But Mr. President, he's dead. He can't punch back. I know you punch back, but he's dead.
I don't talk about it. People ask me the question. I didn't bring this up. You just brought it up. You asked the question.
Well, you talked about it this week.
You asked me the question. When I went out yesterday to the scrum, they asked me the question. When they asked me the question, I answered the question. But you people bring it up. I don't bring it up. I just said, you brought up a question, Maria. I didn't bring it up. I didn't mention John McCain until you asked me a question about John McCain. Now, I could say I have no comment, but that's not me. But you shouldn't have brought it up. Actually, I thought you weren't supposed to bring it up, but that's okay. Fake news every once in a while.
It's not fake news. You just told me why you have an issue with him. It's real news.
A very serious issue.
All right, so there is Trump calling... He first exposing that there was a deal that he's going on Fox News and they were not going to ask him tough questions about John McCain. And second, calling her fake news to her face. Right. And so where does this come down? Does Fox News need Trump more, or does Trump need Fox News more? And to call out the one network that is your place, that, or is this Trump's way of now demanding extreme loyalty from everybody, even in the Fox News world? Atheer Yacoub, take this one.
All right. I don't think that, well, obviously fake news is his go-to deflection of anything.
Right.
I think he just didn't have an answer, but and in the same sentence contradicted himself. Turns out, well, she says that there were no prior conversations, that she couldn't talk about John McCain. She was just simply asking him a question. But I've mentioned this before. It's just like a child kind of burying their head in the pillow, like fake news. Like that's just, he's just, goes to that. That's his just go-to deflection of anything responsible. But I don't know. I think they need him, honestly, more than he needs them. I don't know. It's a weird symbiotic relationship.
And by the way, to add to it, to this morning, then John Roberts, the Fox News White House correspondent, they had that scrum, the scrum, right. And he would not call on John Roberts, and then gave him a look like that was grabbed by the video and shared. And John Carl from ABC said that just now on the South Lawn, the president took questions from several reporters, but ignored John Roberts from Fox, avoiding eye contact until he stared away and glared at him. And John Roberts confirmed it with a tweet. It was a rather chilly March morning, and it's the picture of Trump glaring at him. Like, this is remarkable. And then a short time after, Brit Hume apparently pissed off. He's pissing off Fox News because he then comes out for a tweet just this morning, no need to, but after the scrum, saying Trump's attacks on late John McCain marked the first time in memory where a president has picked a fight with a dead man and lost.
Can I stop you there for a second? I mean, what does that mean? Like, because Maggie Haberman brought up a good point, which is like, when was the last time a sitting president picked a fight with a dead man and won? Well, what is that?
That's not the point. The fact,
I'm not getting on you. I'm getting on Brit Hume here.
Brit Hume's a jackass. But for Brit Hume to go public with, there's no need. Brit Hume could have stayed out. For him to slam Trump, it seems like Fox News might be saying, "Don't mistreat us." Almost like they're standing up, going like, "You need us. You don't realize." And Trump, like, "No, I don't need you at all." Sopan, you know about media. You write about this stuff.
Yeah. So the Bartiromo interview is interesting in particular because Bartiromo is very friendly to Trump in a lot of those interviews. Yes. I mean, there's a reason that she gets that kind of sit down. But every now and then, there's a little flare up. Like I think it was this weekend or last weekend when Trump tweeted anti-Fox stuff about Shep Smith and there's another anchor who I'm like
the weekend one, so I don't know well, but he went after them too.
But listen, I'm sorry, you're not gonna convince me that there's some schism happening here. At the end of the day, Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Fox and Friends, Laura Ingraham, these shows are very, very pro-Trump, very, 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 very on message. You're just, yes, one short exchange in which, and let's talk about the term fake news. The term fake news had a very specific meaning when it was first introduced into the lexicon, right? It was referring to Russian attempts to influence the election through posting articles that are known to be false and spreading that through social media, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Then it became fake news, Trump took that and kind of co-opted it and was like, it's everything is fake news. And now fake news kind of means things that I don't like. Right. Okay. If Dean says he doesn't like my shirt, now fake news means, oh, that's fake news. It's lost meaning.
I use fake news in conversation.
Yeah. The term has lost meaning. It doesn't mean anything anymore. So in this context, Trump's not saying, Trump's just saying, I don't like you asking about John McCain. That's fake news. That's all that means. It doesn't mean anything.
He wasn't like laughing either.
Yeah, right.
He had a look like.
Yeah.
And as far as like him not being allowed to ask about it, I am actually genuinely curious about that. Because does that mean that a Fox producer in booking the interview said, "Hey, this is..." Now my guess is the conversation went something like, "We'd love to sit down with President Trump. Our focus is going to be on the economy. Our focus is going to be on this. Our focus is not going to be about John McCain." That's not the same thing as I'm not going to ask the question.
Explicitly not ask, yeah.
It just means that this is what our interview is going to. Now that's fine. That's normal. That happens. Right. That's fine. But Trump probably, his people probably took that as, okay, they're not going to ask about John McCain, and they probably didn't expect any hard questions from Maria Bartiromo because she doesn't typically ask them.
Right. There was an article in Mediaite today, which is like a media publication. I'm sure you know of it, and saying that Maria Bartiromo denied that she was ever agreed not to ask him questions, but the reporting is there were some people behind the scenes that had a discussion, and they had assured the Trump team, that he would not be asked about that. That just didn't get to her. Clearly, it didn't get to her because she asked the question. If it had gotten to her, you wonder if they had told her how she would have responded. But all right, let's take a quick break. Come back with more of our friends here, Sopan Deb and Atheer Yacoub, on What Just Happened, Friday, March 22nd edition, The Dean Obeidallah Show.
The Dean Obeidallah Show.
I think Trump clips that they play on the media should come with a health warning saying that if you watch this, you'll get dumber. Never has somebody said so much stupid in so little time as Donald Trump does.
SiriusXM Progress. You're listening to What Just Happened with everyone's favorite host, Dean Obeidallah.
And welcome back. What Just Happened, Friday, March 22nd edition, joined by Atheer Yacoub, comedian Sopan Deb from the New York Times, also a very funny guy. So let's shift gears. In New Zealand today, they played the call of prayer to prayers nationally as a sign of unity with the 50 Muslim families who are suffering, who they lost loved ones, and the countless others who are wounded. I want to play a little for people of what the call to prayer is. Here is clip number 4, and I want people to be honest when you're at home. When you hear this, how does it make you feel? What does it make you think of? Let's hear clip number 4.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah.
Okay. If you know the words at home, I hope you
you-
Now, let's be honest. In American movies and TVs, if you hear that, it's generally followed by an explosion or a sinister-looking person. That's the world that we live in. And that's, on some level, I'm not blaming it at all for what happened in New Zealand, but it contributes to the world we live in where instead of the call to prayer being a beautiful thing, it's seen as something sinister. It's used as a prop in movies and TVs to set a tone.
Right.
Because you hear that in the background and these shady-looking figures walk through the frame. And all they're doing is saying God is great, and they're calling people to prayer and saying, I bear witness there's no God but God, and he's, the Prophet Muhammad, the Muhammad is the messenger of God. It's a simple
and
thing.
everyone who heard it right now is automatically Muslim, right? That's
what
it
happened,
works.
folks. This
That's
is
what
how
happened.
it works.
Surprise!
This is how it works. So what did you think, though, of the idea in New Zealand? They played this across the nation, amplified this.
I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I mean, I've lived in the Middle East. I love listening to the call to prayer, even though I don't always listen, like go to it. But I think,
Turn it up, please.
turn it up. Yeah.
It's my jam.
Sorry, that's my jam. This is it. Fifth time today. And I think it's such a beautiful way to honor the victims and their families, and to also say, hey, we're not afraid of Muslims. We're not afraid of their religion. And we're going to play this beautiful call to prayer to honor the victims. And I think also just the way they handled, like the way the prime minister handled everything. I mean, the next day they like banned semi-automatic weapons, and just the way they handled
Actually
it was
reacted.
yeah, they actually did something. Which I guess should be the logical next step. But to us, I'm just like, that's crazy. I can't imagine how that would go down. I mean, I've seen it go
I'd
down
love to
here.
do the call to prayer outside of the White House, not tell Trump, just really loudly, like 5 times a day until the Secret Service comes. So,
Also,
what
the
do you
president
think?
a joke that Asim Manvi used to tell, I think, on the Big Brown Show, where he said, we should do a million Muslim march on
Right,
DC and not tell anybody.
Just do it, not a million
great.
Muslims is marching.
That's great.
So what did you take about the response of how they did it in New Zealand versus Donald Trump, who refused to use the term white supremacy, refused to say anything nice about Muslims? He said, I stand with New Zealand and solidarity with New Zealand. Refused to say, I stand with Muslims.
Well, to answer your first question about the call to prayer, I mean, it's beautiful, but it doesn't lessen my anger. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't lessen that this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for me, just speaking personally, like, it's beautiful, but I'm still like, wow, this is great. But in a week, there are still these deaths that happened at a mosque. Like, how does that happen? And it's that anger still, I think that will always be there for me. And it's great to see so much union. It's good, and it's fascinating to see politicians react in a quick way and to address tragedy. But at the end of the day, the tragedy still happened.
Sure, but
At
it's
a
how you
mosque.
respond to it, though.
Sure, I know, but I'm saying the anger inside of me is still there. And answer the second part of the thing about Trump's response to this. Trump and complexities is the most charitable word I think I could use here when it comes to race issues. It almost is like if you ask him about white supremacists, it's like he takes it as he sees these headlines linking white supremacy to him. He sees. Do you remember that controversy during the campaign where he was asked about David Duke and he?
I don't know who you're talking about.
I disavow whatever they and so I think he views when you ask him indirectly about white supremacy, or excuse me, when you ask him directly about white supremacy, in his mind he seems to translate that as to you indirectly asking him if he's responsible for this, and that's why. Right. He doesn't come out and
right. That's one interpretation. The other is that he is a white supremacist.
But I
That's
mean, at
my
the end of the day, it's I don't. His people will say, well, look, he sent out a tweet. He sent out a tweet saying, we're with New Zealand, blah, 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 blah. I don't know.
It rings so empty to me. It's hysterical that he would say that. He mentioned mosques.
A mosque.
He
not
mentioned
Muslims.
mosques,
Not a simple tweet like, I stand with Muslims around the world today, or I'm shoulder to shoulder with the Muslim, or my heart breaks for the Muslim community. That would be beautiful. He can't say that.
Well, we
He
didn't
can't do
believe
that.
it anyway.
Doesn't matter, but he can't do it.
He can't do
it. He can't because that's not who he is. He
Can I
doesn't
tell a
care
quick
about
story?
us.
I'm going to tell a quick
Of course.
story. Which is one of the questions I always get about covering the Trump campaign, which I did, is, why didn't you see this coming? Why didn't you see his win coming? And a lot of us didn't, right? But the day I always go back to is it was in December 2015 is when he announced the original Muslim ban. Okay.
December.
Yeah,
7th.
December 2015. Yeah, it was
December 7th.
Is that right?
Yes, it was.
I've
I've written about it many times.
Anyway, so
Not kidding.
what happens is during the day that day, a couple, me and Katie Tur and another reporter, were sitting in a hotel lobby, and we look at our phones and we get a release from the Trump campaign. Well, and it says, Donald Trump is calling for a complete and total shutdown of Muslims, blah, 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 until we figure out what the hell's going on. Whatever the line was, right? And we go, all of our jaws drop. Like, okay, well, how does that happen? How can that be? So we spend the day. You might remember Trump gets criticized, but both sides of the aisle. This is you can't do this. This is racist. This is that. This is it. So we're all speculating that day. Well, what is Trump's real game here? Because he can't really mean to ban Muslims. He can't really mean that. Okay, so we're thinking, well, now he doesn't want to be president. He's just trying to find a way to get out of the race, or he's going to come out, or more realistically, he's going to come out and say the media got it wrong. Okay, they're being dishonest. What I really meant was we need more vetting. Whatever the talking point is. So that night he has a rally. We're in Charleston, or the town next to Charleston, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, on a warship there. I think it was called, I want to say it was the USS Yorktown. And Trump takes the stage. He's in front of probably about 1,500, 2,000 people. Takes the stage, takes out a piece of paper with a statement on it, and he reads it word for word, as if to make it clear, no, this is what I meant. And he got a long standing ovation from the crowd. I'll never forget this.
Nor will I.
And I'm in the crowd being like, oh, this is not something I recognize. I did not grow up in this. Yeah. And that was the first time I ever realized, oh, there's this is real. And this is real. And I talked to a lot of people that night about, hey, do you support this policy? Do you think all Muslims should be banned from coming into this country no matter what? Everyone I spoke to was like, no, I'm glad someone's finally saying it.
Sure.
And that night has stuck out to me more so than most nights on the campaign trail.
He understands the base very well. 65% of GOP primary voters ultimately supported the total ban of Muslims, not partial, total ban of all people who practice Islam from around this world to stepping on our shores. And it said a lot about where they were. But, I'd written about the long history for the last few years of the GOP marinating in anti-Muslim hate that had been spewed by so many others. He didn't invent that. He ratcheted up what had been going on beneath the surface for the last few years. That they had put in the work, the anti-Muslim industry, in making anti-Muslim hate a partisan issue.
I mean, I guess the question is, in the case of the shooter, and I think Trump kind of bristles at this as well in this case, like, would the shooting not have happened if Hillary Clinton was president? I think that's the way he looks at it. It's like, can you really just say, hey, Donald Trump is responsible for this? I'm not saying yes or no. I'm saying
New Zealand.
Yes, in New Zealand is what I'm talking about. It's like it's hard to like, I don't know. I understand that there's this manifesto and he say, this is what I'm inspired by. It's hard to know how much of that was trolling, how much was not. It's at the end of the day, my anger is just like, well, this happened, and it's just, and that's kind of where my head is, and because it doesn't seem like it's productive to, when you filter into these cable news discussions about, was Trump responsible, was not, it's like.
I had 4 of them over the weekend. I was on
Did
CNN
you?
3 times at MS once on this very discussion, on this very issue.
Were they productive? Were they productive? Did you find that?
I felt I was extremely angry all the time and in ways I didn't expect. And it was my own emotions about Trump coming out. But it was about, could Trump done more to tamp down anti-Muslim hate? I'm like, down? The guy is the anti-Muslim bigot in chief. I mean, this is the guy who's used anti-Muslim bigotry to gin up fear of my community. I don't respond. The shooter in New Zealand is responsible for his acts. But we don't live in a vacuum. We live in an interconnected world.
And you know what? If a Muslim had shot up, a Christian church,
and Trump would have been all over it.
You would be being asked to answer for it. You would be.
Right. And Trump would have been tweeting all day about that and talking about why we have to have new policies in place. This is what the scumbag that he is does. So I just get angry thinking about Trump in that regard. But I know you're
and you get angry about Trump in many other regards as well.
Oh my God! I was sitting there waiting to talk when they were playing some clips of Trump the other day on MS on Sunday, and the anchor was a real journalist. It wasn't an opinion type of show. And he goes, "Well, the shooters." I'm like, I know the shooter's ultimately responsible. Don't say this patriot. The audience knows that. I didn't say Donald Trump pulled the gun, the figure. Literally, I'm saying the sense that politicians can inspire good, bad, and really, really ugly. And that's what Donald Trump has been doing. So we have to live in the real world as well.
And you kind of have to take some of their words You have to believe them when they say, when white supremacists come out and say, yeah, we feel emboldened by Trump. You kind of have to believe that.
David Duke, Richard Spencer, Daily Stormer. Hey, there's Maggie Haberman, your buddy.
Yes, of course.
All right, we got to take a break. We're going to come back more with our friends Sopan Deb and Atheer Yacoub right after this.
More Trump.
Progressive values are the best of American values, and we need to keep fighting for them to save our country.
Don't go anywhere. This is the Dean Obadala Show on Sirius XM Progress 127.
Your entire week's exhausting news broken down in one hilarious hour. What Just Happened is now live with Dean Obadala.
And welcome back, Dean Obadala Show. We're live here Friday, March 22nd. And now it's time to play the game within the game. Lauren, hit it.
Now, it's time for America's newest game show sensation.
Guess who's done it?
All right, I'm going to give you guys a quote and 4 options, and you see if you guys can guess. No Googling, no...
I hate this game.
Here we go. Here's one.
suck.
Here we go. Real quote from the week. I think I speak for everyone when I say, Tucker, please don't reproduce. Was it A, Jimmy Kimmel, B, Jimmy Fallon, C, Stephen Colbert, D, Trevor Noah? I think I speak for everyone when I say, Tucker, please don't reproduce.
Do you know?
I don't. I didn't...
Finally stumped Sopan.
Colbert?
She got it right.
Oh, my goodness.
Nice. She's like, it's like the person that's close
This is
to
like
you throw the dart and you hit the bullseye right in the
It's like the
middle.
NCAA tournament with like a 16 seed is going
Oh,
up.
boom, that's right.
Like,
you were Fairleigh Dickinson.
Yeah.
Against Virginia. Sorry. Well, I hope you're more like UC. Who won?
UMBC.
UMBC
won last
that-
year. That's right.
Okay.
I don't get any of these references.
Yeah, there you go. She takes the early lead and suddenly she's...
I'll explain it in Arabic later.
Yeah,
Okay.
please,
here
heavy
it-
accent.
Okay. It's undoubted that the media is acting as agents of the Republican Party right now. It's undoubted the media is acting as agents of the Republican Party. Did Bernie Sanders say that? Congressman Max Rose, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, or AOC? Only needs 3 initials.
Wait a minute. Will we repeat that quote again?
It's undoubted the media is acting as agents of the Republican Party right now. Did Sanders say that? Congressman Max Rose, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, or AOC?
Go.
I don't.
It wasn't Omar. I'm going to say it wasn't Omar AOC.
Do you think it was Sanders?
I don't think Sanders would be that.
No.
I'm going to go Sanders actually. Am I wrong?
You were on the right path. It was Max Rose. You were on the right path. You were showing your work, and you were getting a lot of points there.
Yeah.
And then
You get partial credit.
This is a real UMBC situation right now.
Here we go. Another one. If Mr. Trump were removed from office by Congress, a significant portion of this country would see this as a coup and would drive those people further from the common center of American life, more deeply fracturing our country. Was that Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, Ivanka Trump, or James Comey?
Well, it's not Ivanka or Comey.
Glenn Beck?
I'm going to say, I'm going Beck there.
Oh my God!
James Comey.
Really?
Oh my God.
Comey said. Wait, Comey said.
James Comey. If Mr. Trump were removed from, this is all Matt. It's all Matt's doing. He's not. I rely on him to get all the quotes.
How dare you?
Matt's right. He said, Mr. Trump. All right, last one here. This is regarding Kellyanne Conway. You have 4 children that they go home to you, and you're doing this publicly on TV and doing this with your marriage. My question is the same as yesterday. Was it worth it to ruin your marriage and do this to your family? To work in the White House? Was that Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Cindy McCain, or Meghan McCain? So you get 2 McCains.
Oh my
God.
It was definitely one of the McCains.
It's a tough one. Can he go 0 for 4? Would this be a new record?
Oh
my God, I'll never be allowed. Do you mind reading the quote one more time?
Regarding Kellyanne Conway, I wish we had music in it. You have 4 children that they go home to you, and you're doing this publicly on TV and doing this with your marriage.
Right,
My question is the same.
I'm gonna go Megan.
I'm gonna go with whatever Sopan says.
Matt, did you change the picture? Did you do the picture thing? Did you do that? It's up there. You haven't seen it. There's a picture of Sopan that they have. I was going to show you. That's what you had won. He has some. I'm not going to say it. When does it go up?
What's happening?
Nothing. He's got to come. All right.
Okay.
People at home are not going to be able to see it.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk about. We got a couple minutes. Let's take a break. Come back, and we'll finish out the last few minutes here. We got another topic. Dino Bidala Show with our friends Atheer, Yacoub, and Sopan Dad. Right back after this. Look, it's time the media start calling out Trump's false statements for what they are. Lies. Trump is a liar. And by the looks of it, he's lying every day and twice on Sundays.
The Dino Bidala Show.
listening to What Just Happened with everyone's favorite host, Dino Bidala.
And welcome back to the Dino Bidala Show, Friday, March 22nd. We're live right here. Our friends Atheer, Yacoub, comedian, Sopan, Deb, comedian as well, CBS. I mean, it used to be CBS, now New York Times. We're both in the Big Brown Comedy Show.
Yes, that's right. All three of us.
All three of us. 7th, Sunday, April 7th, here at the Comic Strip in Manhattan. If you're interested in tickets, email me, dean@deanofradio.com. I'll send you the link for it.
Can I ask you about this show? Because I love doing this show so much. It's my favorite thing. One of my four, like there's 4 of them throughout the year, and I love doing it each time. Right. And it sells out every time. What is your reaction that it gets sold out every single show?
Well, not every single one sells out, but they're generally a good enough crowd.
They're great crowds.
If they're missing some seats, that it's
what does that
fine.
tell you? It's so great. Like I just.
But if you did it monthly, would dilute it and would not do that. I can assure you, because it's more work than you think about emailing people. And
I'm
doing
sure.
Stuff. So
yeah,
it's not like a ton of work. I'm not trying to make it hard, but I'm saying it's not like if you did it monthly, it would dilute it. You'd get 60 people, 70 each show instead of.
Right.
That's I learned because I try to do it a little bit more frequent, and that's when it was like 120 instead of 190, and you're like, oh. And so
it's just so amazing to see, like, you see these lines out the door.
Brown people.
Well, brown people.
Brown people, nothing shady is happening.
Can I tell you a story from the last one?
Why not? Go ahead. It's Friday, Sopan. Go right ahead. We like this.
So I did the set. I think the last show was in January, and I was really happy with this set. Like, it really killed. I was really happy with it. Right. And then I walk off, and then the show, at the end of the show, a woman walks up to me and says, "I've seen you before. You've gotten much better."
Wow. Well, that's nice.
I was like, positive, I
was like, thank you.
Well, that's very nice. The worst is, have you ever had someone come up to you and they go, "Hey, I saw you at that show," and they don't say anything else.
Right, and you're like, and?
Do you not know we're needy? Can you add? You got to add something. And do I have to ask? Like,
right.
Oh, you were there.
So I had to pat myself on the back a little bit, but I swear it's for a story. So I'm
sure.
I'm doing this book, and as the process for getting a book, right, is you do a proposal and then you meet with publishers. And so I had a couple of meetings with publishers, and it's a mutual courting and whatnot. And at one of them, one of the women in the room, who I think was either the editor or senior or whatever, goes, "Oh yeah, I saw you at the Big Brown show."
No way.
Yeah, swear to God. Like came out. No, she's white. Came out to see me. And was like, "I did that. I saw you at the Brown show. Like that. I came out to see you at that." I'm like, okay.
Oh.
Did not buy the book.
She's like,
oh, if that was a preview, I'm good.
I've seen your work.
Yeah, right.
I don't even know why we're meeting.
Hard pass on that.
All right, here's a lighter thing. Here is Mike Pompeo today in Israel on the Christian Broadcast Network, because it's all intertwined now, and being asked questions by the Christian Broadcast Network about, is Donald Trump sent from God? I don't even know what to say. Here's clip number 6, folks.
Could it be that President Trump right now has been sort of raised for such a time as this, just like Queen Esther, to help save the Jewish people from an Iranian menace?
As a Christian, I certainly believe that's possible. And the work that our administration has done to make sure that this democracy in the Middle East, of this Jewish state, remains, I'm confident that the Lord is at work here.
Atheer, Lord at work with Donald Trump? What do you think?
Well, the Lord did create the devil, so he may have been sent from God. I feel like the neo-Nazis might disagree that Trump is trying to help the Jews or his
That is very interesting, because they like him because they think he is like them.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just this weird agenda, I guess, with.
What was interesting about this trip is the shutting out of reporters.
Except for the Christian Broadcast Network.
Except for faith-based,
Christian Sharia network.
media.
Oh, right.
I think the ACLU or someone is suing or filing a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, to get the communications about this or something along those lines. But yeah, they were allowed. But I don't know if any of those faiths were non-Christian faiths, by the way.
They might be Jewish, but they're not going to be Muslim.
I don't know if any Muslim outlets,
Well, by the way, Mike Pompeo and I wrote about it, very closely tied to Act for America, which is the biggest anti-Muslim group in America, as Southern Poverty Law Center and the ADL have both said. He got an award from them and helped them get reserved a place to speak to other members of Congress when he was in the House. So Mike Pompeo is intertwined with the anti-Muslim industry, and it's remarkable that he is Secretary of State.
There was a quote there's a documentary that just came out about Steve Bannon I think. And there's a quote where a woman is seen on camera, I think at a Bannon event, and she says, I don't want to live in a dictatorship.
Yes.
But if we are, I'm glad it's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and thing is, like, I heard that, I wasn't surprised by that quote because I heard that kind of stuff on the trail all the time.
You did?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, that sentiment is out there. You know, this notion of, you know, and okay, well, let's step back before we even, let me ask you this.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Let me say, if there was a candidate that you truly loved, that you truly agreed with him on everything, and you truly, like, wouldn't you want that person to be a dictator?
Not in the United States of America. Maybe in another
I mean,
country.
I'm just saying.
No, I like Barack
Obama
greatly. I greatly like Barack Obama, but I would not want him to be more than 8 years as president because that's the system we live in.
I'm with you.
Right.
I'm just saying that
If
there's
you
a
had
world.
to have a
if there's a world in which it's like, wait, like, why? I agree with this person on all these policy positions. Well, I don't want anyone getting in his way, right? That's how they see it, right? And that they see, you know, Congress and the media and all these other.
They're
checks
more
and
about Trump than our
democracy or
Constitution.
Constitution.
It really it troubles me to no end, and that's, you know, we only have like 2 minutes, but Donald Trump over the weekend again attacked Saturday Night Live and literally tweeted, should Federal Election Commission or FCC look into this? Because he said, not funny, no talent, SNL, spent all the time knocking the same person, me, over and over. And, you know, there was a poll last year, nearly 50% of Republicans said Donald Trump should be able to close media outlets that are doing bad behavior, as they call it. And bad behaviors is being unfair to Donald Trump. 50% of the GOP are more connected, more loyal, so to speak, with Trump than they are the First Amendment in our Constitution. That's stunning. That this is the country we live in.
I mean, look, Trump, I don't think understands the law here. I mean, the equal time thing that he talks about with SNL. I mean, it's about candidates.
Kind of a long time, right?
It's not about parody. It's not about Alec Baldwin is not running for president. So
Right.
you know, but actually, a little known thing is that when Trump went on SNL as the host in 2016, a bunch of other GOP candidates demanded equal time. So they actually,
that's interesting. And
SNL had to negotiate a thing where they got free airtime.
So we're like 45 seconds left. Atheer, what's your Twitter handle? Where can people follow you?
At Atheer Yacoub and AtheerYacoub.com for shows.
AtheerYacoub.com. Sopan Deb.
At Sopan Deb, SOPANDEB, and read me at the Times.
And of course, I'm Dean Obidala, eternally needy, waiting for you on Twitter at Dean Obidala, or drop me an email over the weekend, dean@deanofradio.com. Thanks for tuning in. Lauren and Matt, thank you for doing a good job this week, you guys. And have a great weekend. Have some fun. Recharge. We're going to be talking about the Mueller report. We're going to have more details Monday. So get ready for that and more. Talk to you Monday.